Hello and welcome everyone to our Wednesday Live. Today is March 26th and today we will be diving into Blend Precisely, an over-the-shoulder look on how I create and fill in a recipe and then turn it into a formulation so I can actually scale it and also get away from all these different units like ounces and teaspoons and tablespoons and grams and percentages and whatnot else. So I chose one of my favorite recipes today from the book, The Natural Soap Making Book for Beginners from Kelly Cable. And she has a beautiful recipe in here, which is the Castile soap recipe. And earlier this morning, I actually already created a video on how I researched the olive oil, for example, that goes into Castile soap to just have a price comparison. So my normal style of creating blends is that first of all, there are two ways actually. So first of all, sometimes I get into a really creative mode and I just do what I have here present and in my raw ingredients and I just dive in and do it. Then sometimes it also becomes a very beautiful recipe. And then this recipe I'd like to turn into a product, for example. The other version is that I have a book or some kind of ideas I found online, and then I wanted to just research those ideas and actually price it out before I even create the recipe or the formulation. So those are my two modes I'm in sometimes. Lately, I've been just doing, I think I've created at this point around 20 bars of soap because that's just something new I started again in January. And I have 3 different books and I just like to take that for myself and be creative again and not just behind the computer. So these are the 2 modes I get in. This time I created the recipe first. I made the soap, the Castile soap. It cured for 4 to 6 weeks. At this point, actually almost 8 weeks now. And Castile soap is really just made with olive oil, and also in this case she uses coconut oil, and the longer it cures the better it gets. So at this point it is already really, really beautiful, but I wanted to show how I would go about these things now in Blend Precisely, price it out and see what my profit margin is. So I use her recipe. It's a 3 pounds, so it yields 12 bars for her, but mine is a small one, so it yields 10 bars, and they're around 4.5 ounce bars. And yeah, so I'm just gonna get started. You can follow me around how I do everything in Blend Precisely. And if you need to speed up, feel free to do that. You can do this probably in the settings down below on in the YouTube channel as well later on, and then you can speed it up. Okay, so if you rewatch it. So let me just get started, bring this one on, and actually let me just go over right to Blend Precisely right here. So you should be seeing what I'm seeing. So this one is still from this morning where I compared 3 different olive oils, and I came to the conclusion that I'm going to most likely buy the olive oil from Bulk Apothecary, or I actually will go back to my type of Costco here on the East Coast is BJ Wholesales, and they have pretty much the same price. So they're the cheapest right now. There's not a big price difference. Now with soaps, and let me just go back and make my screen a little bit larger like this and this actually. So with soaps, you will be able to get most of the things in her book are in ounces. And I'm just thinking she uses around 1 ounce in each of her 1 ounce of essential oils or fragrance oils, not really fragrance oils at all. She just uses essential oils. But I used a few different ones depending on my oil availability here as well. So let me just get started on how I would start out a recipe. So most recipes, soap recipes, are, as I mentioned, having a lot of teaspoons and tablespoons in it. So I would start out with the aromatherapy version. because that is the version that allows you to put in teaspoons, tablespoons, grams, and all of these crazy measurement units I do not agree with necessarily, but that's how the books are often written. Now hers uses ounces, which is already really good. Okay, so first of all, I need to get 25 ounces of olive oil in here. So I would type in olive oil now. And let me just find which one. By hovering over, I can find the one I want to use. So I could use the BJ Wholesales. I can use the one from Bulk Apothecary, which is the certified organic one. And then there's also the organic one. And because the price differences aren't very large, I'm going to go for the certified organic one here. It's literally 1 cent. And then I would put in 25 ounces. Let me just go down here. All right, then I would choose the next one, which is coconut oil. And I normally use the 76 degree because it's cold here. So let me just find the coconut oil I would use. That's this one. So this one here, for example, is $17.99 for 54 ounces. What I could do is actually come over to Bulk Apothecary and see what their coconut oil would cost in bulk. And I would choose the 76. And they also have extra virgin coconut oil organic. I always like to keep everything as much as I can organic if it fits the pricing, as well as unrefined. So in this case, let me just open up this one, open in a new link. Also this one I would double check on, and there was somewhere, no, that's the fragrance. I think those two, right? Extra virgin coconut oil organic, and then this one here. So I would go in and quickly double check here. So 7 pounds for 21, the 35 pounds is $82.95, and that's for the 76. And this one here is $37. It's organic, and $138. So the way to choose in this case, I know that soap mostly ends up in the drain, and only 1 to 2% actually stay on your skin. So it's very, very little. And you want to make sure that if something stays on the skin like lotion, you definitely want to go all the way in and have the best ingredients possible if the price fits as well. In this case, we can see the price difference is quite large, $37.43 versus $21.07, or if you go higher. Now, the second aspect I always look for as well is fair trade or sustainability and all of these things. So that's what I pretty much do in my research before I decide on any kind of raw ingredients. And then I also look, obviously, if they have documents available. For some reason, Bulk Apothecary, maybe I need to call them or ask them. They don't have SDS documents right away available here, or GCMS, I think. So I would need to call them and get them, or not order them. So it's one of the two. All right, so let's go back here. I have still the coconut oil, and I'm using the BJ Wholesale one right now for $17.99, and I need 7 ounces in my soap for the olive oil. Then I would need to use lye, which I get from Brambleberry. Okay, that's this one. And I would need 4 ounces. Then I would use filtered water or distilled water. And here I would also use 12 ounces. Then I used, in this case, Eucalyptus, Smithy, Clary Sage, and French clay. So first of all, let's see if I have my French clay in here. In this case, I used the one from Brambleberry. So did I? Just a second. Let me double check if I use this one. Brambleberry, and let's see if I can find French clay here. Yes, okay, great. And this one is 16 ounces or 1 ounce for $1.99. All right, so just for a short moment, I'm going to save this recipe, Castile soap, because I forgot to actually add my French clay. Just a second. Castile soap, 10 bars, and click save. Okay, come back to inventory. Go to BP ingredients and see if French clay is in here, which I know it is. Highlight, make this mine because it has the Inky name and Latin name already. That's super practical. Come back in here and just change the price basically to $10.99 for 16 ounces. And then come further over here, choose Brambleberry. And then expiration date I need to look up. I would, in my notes, put the website here, and then that's pretty much it. Let me see if, you know, I like putting these type of things in as well because it helps me then for my product description later on. So I would add them in my notes. Come back here and put this one in here as well. And then click save. Wonderful. Okay. French clay. Then I would come back to my aromatherapy and I would use my Castile soap. Search for it here and add the French clay. Here it is now. And I need 0.7 ounces I used. And then I actually went into my essential oils and I added Eucalyptus smithy. Okay, let's get all of them. So I have them divided up here in Blend Precisely and Eucalyptus smithy. Do I have it in here actually? Yeah, so I used this one and clary sage. I used. Okay, and I used also, in this case, ounces and ounces. And the smithy I used 0.508. And for clary sage I used 0.512 ounces. Okay, great. So you can see that the prices actually are quite high in terms of essential oils. And I'm still not sure if I'm going to continue using essential oils and soaps because I think that is quite something here. So Eucalyptus smithy, the suggested topical max is 20%, not for children under 10. More statistics. Eucalyptus smithy right now, I've got 1.0%. 0.02%, so I'm super safe with this one. It's also a wash away product. And then you can add your production time here. So let's say it took you an hour, put in 60 minutes, and then the batch size is 10. I get 10 pieces out of it. And what I use in terms of packaging, actually, because I put it into my farm stand store, there's not a lot of packaging, and I might just use, let me just show you what I got. Amazon, I think I bought these papers, these wrapping, soap wrapping. Let me just go here quickly and see if I can find them back. I don't like plastic too much, so I don't use shrink wrap. Let me just find them back for a moment, if I can. Maybe not. Well, I could. Well, that's something I'm going to add later on. I can't find it back for now, but I would normally add then obviously my price for the packaging as well, whatever that is. So don't forget to add packaging into your costs as well. So right now you can see that the cost per unit is $6.14. That's extremely high for a soap, and the profit margin will not give me any big profit. So it's just a profit margin of 3, and then I would need to sell the soap for $12.28. Now, if you leave essential oils away, you're much better off, I must say, because essential oils are extremely expensive in this soap making process. And again, I would encourage you to double check really, A, do you want to use any kind of aroma? Often the answer is yes. B, does it need to be essential oils if most of the things end up in the drain? That's a little bit my thinking. It's sad to use these precious plants if most of this goes down. And then also, of course, we do want to think if we use synthetics or any kind of aromas, often these have allergens. So it's a little bit of a fine walk for me with soap, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do really, but I know for sure that this price here is not going to be sustainable because I cannot sell it like this, especially if I add a little bit of packaging here as well. So what is a good solution here? Definitely choose different oils. See if you can get a better price. This one is $17.68 for 16 milliliters. So let's just hop over to, that's where Floriana. Let's see actually what they have. Eucalyptus. Often you can buy those things much, much cheaper and or buy them in bulk, which I didn't do in this case. But yeah, it's difficult. It's not easy to say, okay, I'm going to do this. So if I were to choose eucalyptus essential oils, and that's probably the globulus, I don't know. Oh, here they have actually the STS, radiata. Okay. They don't have the GCMS. So you don't really know 100% if it's pure. Okay, bulk apothecary. I don't think it's the best choice for true essential oils, maybe. So if I head over to Floriana, let's go to Floriana, essential oils. And then I can look up eucalyptus, smithy. That's where I got it from. And then see what sizing they offer. So they offer, for example, 30 grams. And I would think it becomes a little bit cheaper. Okay. It's $10.16. So let's just plug that in as a comparison if I were to search. So I'm going to click save here. If I can actually get this down in price. Let's come back to the ingredients. Search for eucalyptus and see if we have it in our Blend Precisely ingredients. And eucalyptus smithy. It's here, so I'm going to make this one mine. Head back over to this price and come here where, let's see what the price was. Put this over $10.16 for 30 grams. 16 for 30 grams and US dollars. And also, if you're already here, you might as well get the documents down and upload them as well. And that's Floriana. You can put this one in here, save, and then upload the last GCMS report. So you have all of the information that you need ready, parse it, and then you have the information for any kind of allergens as well. So the document is parsing your GCMS right now. It takes a few seconds. And while it's doing this, I'm going to come back over here and look already for clary sage and see if they were to sell it as well in a larger quantity. And they actually sell it as 50 grams. Okay, so do the same here. Technical documents, GCMS report. Probably will buy the latest one and type this one in as well in a second. So this one is 50 grams and you always need to consider as well free delivery on orders over $100. So that's really cool from Floriana. I love that part. Okay, so this part is done. And then I would definitely double check everything in terms of the GCMS report. And if something is missing, and I will come back to this one as well, but I'm going to close it for now and come back. Well, let me enter actually the clary sage as well. Since we are here, clary sage. Make this one mine. Okay. Come back to my ingredients. Do the entire thing here, US dollars. And then type in whatever Floriana gave you, 64.24, 64.24 for 50 grams. And then come back over here, Floriana. Oops. And put in the link to the oil. And you could also upload the GCMS report, but I'm going to wait for a moment because it takes a little moment to parse it. So this one is done now. And I'm going to head over to my recipe here, upload one more time, or get one more time the Castile soap recipe, the 10 bars. And I want to see if I can actually somehow lower the costs now of the essential oil. So let me just take a quick screenshot of this one so I have a reference. And I can actually add the other ones. So Eucalyptus smithy. I'm going to do this so for you to see Eucalyptus. That's the one we just entered for 10.16. Yes, and then also clary sage one more time. That was the big one. 64, yep. Okay, so now let's enter these two in here and just see if it would make a difference if we were to choose a different amount. So Eucalyptus, the price didn't change by a lot. But clary sage, let's see, ounces also actually got more expensive. So this one here is the Blend Precisely pricing and was the price like a year or 2 years ago. So it actually got higher now. So you can see instead of using Eucalyptus, clary sage, you might want to consider then to actually use a different one. So let me take these two out. The price didn't change a lot at all, or it went higher a little bit. So if you were to plan around and think about it, it's like, okay, I want to really make this Castile soap, but maybe I'm going to add lavender in this case. And let's see if lavender could replace, theoretically, in terms of price, clary sage by a lot. So I would then, in this case, let's see how much we can eliminate the price. So the price goes down per unit to $5.25. Still too high, in my opinion, to sell it, because there's definitely no profit margin in there. If I were to, sorry, it would be $15. This one here is the profit per unit is $10. So I could only double it. And that's because I also added my price, of course. So I pay myself. If I take this one out, then we are looking at $2.75. And then we are also looking at a better price unit. And then you can put your margin up here. But the bar would still be $8. So I'm a big fan of paying yourself, because every bar of soap that goes out the window, you pay yourself already. If you do not put any production time in, you're basically not making any money. If you sell, let's say, 5 bars of soap and you do not pay your money yourself, in this case, you make $10.49 plus that you paid yourself, which is around maybe $2.50 per bar. So you made $13 in profit if you were to sell it like this. If you take your time out and you do not pay yourself, you end up with definitely less money and you're not paying yourself. So that's a decision you need to make. All I know is that in the professional way of thinking, you always want to consider your time, and you always want to consider a profit margin that includes an error margin. So you might even want to say 3.1, add a 10% error margin in here as well. It's really important that you get your pricing right and not just goes like, I would not squeeze my product costs into, I want to sell this bar so badly that I hardly make any profit. So you need to look around. How can you change your pricing? Or you do not sell this bar, or you leave the essential oils out and actually research a different type of aroma. And if you want to use more, that's why probably a lot of soaps you find don't have essential oils necessarily when they sell them. Because the aromas, let's see if they have natural. It's just too expensive. Natural. And that's already, Floriana has fair pricing. So if you were to go somewhere else where the pricing is higher, then you might end up with much higher pricing. So let me just see. Here's, for example, let's say you want to get natural lychee pineapple fragrance. You use 1 ounce, so you end up with $5 instead of $8, $12, $13.50 if you were to use a fragrance oil. Let me just see if I have actually fragrance oils in here to show you the difference. Okay, let's see which ones we have. Okay, so cranberry fig is a good example. You would use 1 ounce here and see the price difference. It's $3.10. You have $8 here. You've got $4. So if you were to take this out, you're actually saving yourself a lot of money, and you can pay yourself because you definitely spend 1 to 2 hours, right, on 1 bar of soap, especially when you consider cleaning up and everything else. So here we go. If you pay yourself, or if you want to go into the wholesale market, the cost per unit is $4. If you do not pay yourself, the cost per unit is $1.68, because the entire formulation is $16. And then you could say, okay, I'm not going to pay myself. So the profit, let's see, you want to sell it for $5. I think you can go up because the perceived value of all of these ingredients and a handmade bar of soap and cold press will allow you to sell it most likely for around $8. So you can up in your profit margin to 5. Yeah, so 4.7 maybe, or 4.8, and then you're around the $8 one, and your profit per soap bar is $6.38. So this is super important to just consider. And again, the pricing needs to include your packaging. I don't have it in here right now. Yeah, so it's something I still need to add. So let's say I have something like this. It's 9 cents per count. You can see that you can add something that is around 9 cents and or add it in packaging under inventory. So that will be added here as well. So this one will allow you to cover your costs, your overhead, your marketing, even if you were to go maybe wholesale where you will have volume, that's important as well. Okay, so let's save this one. Recipe updated. Now, if you would want to increase the volume, you can sales scale by. So this whole thing gives you 1 bar of soap, which is around 3 pounds. And you want to make 10 of them, you know already that you can do this. And then you know also your price. And then you can divide them up into 100 pieces. And you would come out to have a total profit of $638 if you were to sell all 100 pieces. In all, you then have also these type of calculations here, where you need to see that this one is updated as well. So make sure you do your homework and save them as it is. You can also save it as percentage blending, and then actually come over to your skincare formulations and pull up the recipe here as well, if you have skincare available. And then you have them all here in percentage. And you can also work with these ones then. The nice thing here in this, once you have uploaded your IFRA or your GCMS reports, you will have the IFRA information and the warnings and everything else available here too, and even more. So this one is definitely, if you want to be a professional soap maker or a professional perfume artist or a cosmetic formulator, you do want to make sure that you meet all the IFRA standards. So I will go back now to my inventory, and I will also look up my Clary Sage and upload the GCMS report, because I do believe it has some restrictions there. So I will do that as well. Okay. I will talk to you soon. I hope this was good. If you have any questions, do leave them in the comments and I will answer them as well. And I will talk to you very soon. Bye-bye.